We have finally got our hands on the roadmap that's laying out the next 12 months of Warhammer 3 content, and if it's all true and there are no more delays, we should be in for a pretty steady supply of hopefully high quality content. But what will that content be? Let's dive right in and find out. So here we have the roadmap, and right out the gate we're getting a DLC in summer and winter of this year and then spring of next year. So that's looking like a 4-month content cycle, which isn't quite the 3-month that was mentioned a few times near the launch of Warhammer 3, but coming from the 8-month break that we just enjoyed, I'd still say it's a massive improvement. Of course, they need to stick to this timeline, and judging by the disclaimer in the bottom right, they're prepared. Thanks, dog. Of course, they actually need to stick to this timeline first, and judging by the disclaimer we see in the bottom right, they are prepared to push everything we see here back if they need to, so we'll just have to wait and see if this is actually what happens. Between these DLCs and major updates, we're also going to get 0.1 patches, which will mainly focus on bugs and gameplay updates, likely just tidying up and fixing all the things that each new DLC breaks, which is fair enough really, because that does happen. The 3.1 patch is particularly interesting as it says that they're going to be looking at endgame for the Chaos Dwarves in Immortal Empires. Now, does this mean we're going to get another endgame scenario where it is the Chaos Dwarves, or are they simply going to tweak the endgame of the Chaos Dwarves to be more balanced? I don't know. That's all the information we have, so we're just, again, we're gonna have to, a lot of this video is just gonna be, we're gonna have to wait and see, but it's still pretty exciting. Now onto the actual DLC. First up, we have the Shadows of Change, which is presumably gonna bring a new lord to Tzeentch, Cathay, and Kislev. So it looks like the 3 lords are gonna remain the trend for all the DLC packs, which is a good thing for lord packs, because you know, you're getting 1 more lord and 1 extra faction per DLC, and as long as they're of the same quality that the 2 lord packs were, that'll be pretty good. But for race packs, it does look like, sadly, we're only going to get 3 lords rather than the usual 4, which we were used to. All that being said, we'll also have to wait until the prices for these things come out, because lord packs were traditionally a lot cheaper than race packs, mainly because you didn't have to make an entire new race, just made a new lord, a couple of new units, a couple of new mechanics, and you know, just placed them onto the map. Will the pricing be the same as it was for the Chaos Dwarves for this Shadows of Change DLC? We don't know. We don't have any pricing information. We're gonna have to wait and see. Anywho, we are presumably going to be getting new lords for the campaign, both for the Realms of Chaos and for the Immortal Empires, which is all great stuff if it all happens. Alongside this, we're going to get a free legendary hero, and it looks like heroes are going to be a major aspect of all DLCs moving forward, as suspected with the Chaos Dwarves fiasco. Honestly, we'll just have to wait and see if these heroes are any good before passing any judgment, but personally, heroes have way less value to me to the game than lords, even if the lord only has a couple of things that make them different, but I digress, that might just be me. We're also going to be getting more achievements from Immortal Empires, which, personally, not really that bothered. But if you like collecting them all and you like to challenge yourself and have all these achievements to go after, then that'll definitely be a good thing for you, because Immortal Empires is massive, and adding a bunch of new achievements to it will add a lot of replay value for people that like to get 100%. Race updates is the thing that excites me the most, and I think the thing that we can all agree is probably the most needed, because, let's be honest, a couple of the factions in-game, especially, well, anyone that wasn't added in Warhammer 3, is lacking behind in terms of how many features they have. Now, will this be updates to the factions getting the DLC, like we saw with Marcus Wolfheart? He came as a DLC lord, and alongside this, the Empire got a free complete rework. Or will it be separate factions, say, when this DLC comes out for Cathay, Kislev, and Tzeentch, will we see, can you focus on me please? Will we see an update for the Greenskins or the Vampire Counts? Please, the Vampire Counts, they really need it. Realistically, I think it's probably just going to be the races that are involved in the DLC, but we can't help but wonder, and we can't help but speculate and hope that they're going to give the Vampire Counts an update. It's basically all I want. Next up, I think we can all agree that general campaign AI and settlement battle improvements, as vague as that is, should be a great thing. The AI definitely needs some work in Warhammer 3. It's still somehow completely player biased, but also incredibly stupid and easy for the player to take out. Can you focus on my face, please? What is going on? Do I not have a human face? Anyway, moving on to winter of this year, we are looking at the Thrones of Decay, which will include content for Nurgle, as well as the Empire and the Dwarves. This would introduce 2 new not new but you know what I mean, 2 factions new to the Realms of Chaos that you can play as well as whatever DLC gets added in Immortal Empires. Personally, I'll be cautiously optimistic and cautiously excited about how they introduce the old new factions into the Realms of Chaos, because I don't know about you, I desperately don't want anyone else to be going into the Realms of Chaos and doing all that stuff with rifts. I think giving new and unique objectives within that same campaign definitely adds a lot more replay value to pretty much any faction. I'll also be very interested to know which lords they add, because I believe on the Realms of Chaos map we already have Karl Franz, we might have Thorgrim Grudgebearer and a couple of other existing legendary lords, so I don't know if they're going to replace those on the map or add some entirely, I mean, they're going to add some entirely new ones because they need to on Immortal Empires, but you know, add some entirely new starting positions, or if alongside Boris Todbringer being added as a DLC lord, we also get Karl available on the Realms of Chaos, but we don't know. we're just gonna have to wait and see, folks. I keep saying it because it's true. Realms of Chaos is a weird campaign because it has parts of old maps, so it has old factions on it. So it's kind of weird, like, oh, are these factions going to be included? Or are they just going to, you know, pretend that they're not playable lords in another campaign and so they're not playable here? It's a very weird ground to see a lord that you know is playable in a different campaign, but is not playable there. So I will be very interested to see what they do and how they address that moving forward. Alongside this, we have the usual extra free legendary hero and race updates, and it's interesting that they specify here legacy race updates. It could be that the general race updates means to original Warhammer 3 factions, and that legacy means to Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 1. Now this would fit in with the theory that they're only going to be updating the factions that are involved in the DLC, because in the second DLC we have legacy factions in the Empire and the Dwarves, which will see their updates, and in DLC 1 it's only Warhammer 3 factions, so they would be race updates, not legacy race updates, if that makes sense. No matter what, I can't stress enough how good race updates are into bringing people back to the game who aren't even interested in the actual content of the DLC. Say, for example, you weren't interested in Micah's Wolfheart or Nakai, which is entirely fair. Their campaigns are pretty challenging and Nakai's is pretty terrible. But when the Empire rework came out, a flood of people came back, and the same thing with Warden and Paunch. Not everyone was playing the new DLC, but everyone was playing the new Greenskin update, which was free. Everyone loves free stuff, bro, and when the free stuff is arguably better than the paid stuff, you're really onto something spicy there and bringing people back to your game. Alongside these updates, we also have something called the Nemesis Crown, and from my very minor research, it seems that this is another powerful artifact that everyone is fighting over, similar to the Sword of Cain. In the lore, apparently it contains a rune that allows the wearer to take on the wisdom of all the past wearers and control their own destiny, whatever that means. That being said, it's also made of warpstone, so it will likely come with some severe downsides to go with whatever benefits it brings. I think it'll be very exciting. The Sword of Cain, you know, as exciting as it is, you pick it up once when you're playing as Colex Sun Eater, you never really touch it because it's not really that exciting unless you just happen to stumble across it anyway in your campaign. Nemesis Crown, I don't know where it'll spawn. From the looks of things, it sounds like it might be a Dwarven artifact, so possibly named to Thorgrim, because I think he is one of the major people that had in lore. I don't know, man. If you want lore analysis of this, I guarantee that Grudges is going to have a video on it, so check out his channel if you want something a bit more in-depth and actually lore educated, because if you weren't aware, I don't know anything about this stuff, I just Google. Anyway, very exciting. Lastly, our final DLC is called To Be Revealed, which is a bit of a weird name for a DLC pack. Normally we have the Verses and the something, and that's a good point, actually. I didn't even think of that. We haven't got the, you know, it's Warden and the Paunch, and we had the Prophet and the Warlock. These new DLCs just called like Thrones of Decay or whatever. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I quite like the Verses naming scheme, but I suppose if you had a three-way, it'd be like the Warden and the Paunch and, you know, Greg, which might not, well, actually that sounds pretty lit. CA, you can steal that one. I allow you. Anyway, all jokes aside, judging by the pink realm that we see in this image, it will be a Slaanesh-led DLC, which makes sense since we're going through the Modern God factions. Big L's to Papa Korn, not getting his DLC until probably summer of next year if all this goes to plan. As for which factions would be with Slaanesh in this DLC, we have nothing to work with, but logically, I would guess Bretonnia and Norska would be pretty good shouts since they're already on the map, and they've gone a very long time since they've seen a major update. There are a load of other factions on the map, to be fair. You have Greenskins, you obviously have, you know, Dwarves, you have Empire, I believe you have Vampire counts, which would be pretty sweet. I'd love to see me some Vampire counts, and it would be nice to see a non-Order faction in one of these DLCs, since to start with, we had Sinch, Kislev Cathay, kind of Order factions, and then we had Nurgle, Dwarves Empire, Order factions, so it would be nice to maybe see Vampire counts, Norska, some evil factions get some updates, and let's be honest, those are factions that desperately need updates, whereas the Greenskins and, you know, other factions don't really, because they've already had a pretty major rework. And I know that these DLCs also need to feature some mainstream factions, so to speak. The Empire, definitely a very, very played faction. I don't have all the data for this, but everyone knows for a fact that the Empire is the most played faction in the game, so if you do a DLC with them, chances are it's going to juice, where if you do one that's got Norska and the Vampire counts, I mean, I'll buy it. Well, I'll probably get sent it for free as long as I don't get kicked from the program, but I would buy it. And like 3 other people, and that'd probably be about it. You can tell I'm really trying to fight off this bird right now, and I'm not doing a very good job. Oh my god. Anyway, only time will tell what factions will be involved, and if they come out when CA has told us to. Of course, we're going to be referencing this in the months to come if we get some reveals, and if we get told it's going to push back, you will definitely see some complaining on this channel, I guarantee you of that. But for now, that's everything that we know about this roadmap and the future of Warhammer 3. Honestly, if it's all stuck to and they deliver on the promises made here, I am cautiously excited about the future of the game. Of course, I don't know anything about the content. All I know is it's a DLC for these 3 factions. It could just be Legendary Lords and nothing else. No unique mechanics whatsoever. That would be pretty weird. I don't think they'll do that. So yes, as I said, cautiously excited, cautiously optimistic. Anyway, that is all from me today. Like, subscribe, and if you want to know which factions desperately need the race updates, then check out this video here, where I go over the worst faction mechanics in the game.